Well, I think we better start anyway. Okay. We'll talk for about 10 to 15 minutes, and of course I would like to also listen to your views by the end of our talk. So please kindly wait for a moment. And so first of all, Christine, I know there's a similarity between you and my performer, Mika, because Mika, in fact, is French. He's half French and half Finnish. Yes. So, in fact, you are also French, right? Yes. Mm-hmm. So, can you tell us a bit, when did you come to Hong Kong?
I came in '86. My husband is from Hong Kong, so I met him when I was studying in Paris. I'm not from Paris, I'm from Lyon. And then I met him, he had a scholarship from the French government at that time. So, met him in '83. And he finished his studies in '85, and he came back. All the time he said to me, he will never stay in France. So if I have wanted to follow him, I could. And I came in '85 for 1 month to have a look, and I really thought that I would like Hong Kong. I wouldn't mind coming back for living here. And which I did. I went back to France to finish my studies. And in '86, I was back, and I've been here since then. So I spend more time in Hong Kong than in France now. So it's my home.
Well, yeah, so more than 30 years.
Yes, so. 32 years, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So do you find anything similar between your experience and Martin Booth's, I mean, the books, the writer's experience?
In a way, I mean, when you arrive, Kai Tak, you arrive by boat, sorry, but he mentioned the humidity, a small thing, but in a way, his experience is very different than mine. But I lived in a Chinese family, so in a way like him, I got to listen and I got to learn my Cantonese because of my family. So this is a bit similar, he has got his helpers with him and he felt at home and learned Cantonese. But I didn't have his kind of experience like him going to Kowloon World City and seeing the Queen of Kowloon. No, I didn't. Not so exciting.
Because the time you arrived is already Kowloon World City has already disappeared.
Not yet, but not yet. I think, but almost, demolished. Yeah.
Because myself, 就算我自己，其實我都未去過九龍城寨. I haven't been to Kowloon World City myself. And in fact, what the book describes is basically the 50s. Hong Kong in the 50s or early 60s, and that's also before my age, and that's why I found this book quite interesting, because all the places it described are familiar, but what he described is really strange to me.
Yes, it's for me as well. I learned things.
And I also found in your book, because I'm reading your book, but to be frank, I haven't finished. But there's something I recognize, there's the similarities. You also mentioned how difficult it is to learn Cantonese.
Yeah, it is, because people expect you to, first it's difficult because of the tones, and then when you start to master it, when they see you as a Kwai Mui at the time, and then they will switch in English. So if you don't insist and say it again and again and again, then you won't have a chance to practice. And actually, the more if you mingle with different people, it's easier if you have friends or family. But if you stay with your colleagues or if they always speak in English with you, then you have no chance to practice.
So you also said that, Hong Kong has become your home. When do you have this feeling that it's your home? Do you remember? Is there an exact moment that you start feeling that this is my home now?
I think it's over the years. I mean, you don't really feel it, but then when you realize, you look back, okay, I had my son here, and I worked here, and I got friends, and then you realize you have more and more attachment to this place, and speaking the language again. When you really feel, you're part of the community, you understand what's going on, and yes.
How would you define home?
Home is, it's basically, to have a family. I mean, to be the family all together. I guess if I didn't have my husband or my son here, maybe I wouldn't stay, I don't know. but this is the main reason why I'm here. And again, maybe also when I started to do some volunteer works, I feel more integrated into the society and more like home, even more like home, yeah.
So, in the book, in Martin Booth's book, we adapt the book, and of course we, as an adaptation, we've got to make some changes in order to tell the story more clearly or to highlight the themes. One theme that particularly strikes us is, or one thing that particularly strikes us was the relationship between Martin and his father, and Martin and his mother. And it's quite obvious in Martin's point of view, he's getting more and more closer and closer to his mother than his father. Yeah.
Of course, you can feel his father is hating. I think he comes for the job, and he just doesn't want to learn about the culture. He doesn't want to integrate. He doesn't want to ignore the Chinese. He criticizes them. So it's very tough, I think, for Martin to live in this. Luckily, his mom is different. Yeah.
So you think basically integration? You think it is good, or?
Of course, it's very good. Yes. And but one part of being integrated, I think, is and learning the culture of the place you live is to speak the language. Wherever you need to speak it every day or not, but you understand better people and.
How do you think about the phrase, to go native? Sort of, it seems bad in Western point of view. Yeah, go native.
No, I think going native, I think is very good. Yeah, to experience the way people live, wherever you live. I think it's very important. Then, of course, you shouldn't forget where you come from or your traditions. You should keep them as well. But you need to at least to learn. I mean, to learn the other cultures.
So there's another similarity I find between you and the author. That is, you also write a book about your experience in Hong Kong. So what prompted you to write a book about your experience in Hong Kong?
Oh, at first it was a bit like in your play, we saw Martin thinking of he's getting old and maybe he was sick, I guess, and he started to write his book for memory for his grandson. He realized, it's already too late, I forgot to ask questions to my mom. And actually I didn't know about this book before I wrote my book. And or maybe I forgot about it, but and I wanted to write about basically for my son, yeah, because maybe we never had a chance maybe to talk, because you always said tomorrow. You will never sit down with someone and say, oh, I'm going to tell you my story, why I come here, why I follow your dad, why I get married to him. So I said better to write it, like short stories. And then in the end I started to write it in French, and then because my husband said actually it's what many people ask you as a foreigner, say, oh, why are you speaking Cantonese, why you came here, So I say, oh, why don't you write it in English, so it would be easier to have a Chinese translation and to share with people your story.
So in fact, this Christine's book is in 2 languages. 其實 Christine 本書係有2個版本嘅，有一個係中文版，一個英文版。咁出邊都有賣嘅，一陣間大家趁機會去買呢個有興趣。咁yes, how do you find the performance? My last question before.
Oh, very good, very good. Very impressed to have a one-man show for 2 hours and playing the kid. Yes, it's very, very good. Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Very good.
Thank you. Yeah.
Congratulations.
And yeah. So maybe let's open to the floor first and see if they want to ask anything about Christine, about the show. 台下冇觀眾有嘢想問呢，中文又得或者英文又得。我知好難嘅，通常開口要問嘢，你第一句開口要問嘢嘅話，但係喺中間，好勇敢，有朋友已經。
Hi. Yeah, I actually want to ask Christine. You mentioned how important it is to integrate with the community, and you emphasized the importance of learning the language. So I'm just really curious to know, how long did it take you to master Cantonese? And you mentioned you came here in 86. At what point did you feel like really comfortable communicating in this language and really feeling integrated?
I would say, okay, for the first 4 or 5 years, actually, I was not really, I listened, but I talked, but nobody could understand. And then I worked for Chinese companies, and it was completely immersion, you know. So again, I was listening, and I made a bit of improvement. And then I went back to French, at the French school, so I didn't have to speak a lot. But then when I quit my job, and I started to do some volunteer jobs, so it's 10 years ago, you see, 20 years later, I started to feel the need to speak. And I was not shy anymore. And then I insisted, and then I have to, all the friends around me, people, volunteers, they never switched in English for me, which is very good. And then I have to practice, and my friends, tonight here, all my friends, they always speak to me in Chinese, which I appreciate, and I thank them, yeah. But I would say, like, yeah, about 20 years. I mean, you cannot say exactly, but to feel confident, about 20 years ago. 20年前啦，可以唔使驚講。
其實頭先喺門口同 Christine 講咗兩句，佢真係講得好啊。We just had a brief talk outside the theatre before the show, and she talks in Cantonese and really good Cantonese.
I should learn more，可以學到啲。
好仲有冇朋友喺嗰邊有朋友有問題？下面。哇，好遠！下面啊！其實不如我俾一支咪你哋兩。係啦，我哋先。
Hello. I'm just curious. So was this conceived from the beginning as a one-person show, and how did you decide to do that rather than make it into a
Thank you.
play?
Yes, it is. I don't know why it's out of pure instinct that in the very beginning I want to do it as a solo, because I think first of all the book is purely from the point of view of Martin Booth. And so I think it makes sense because everything is described in his point of view. And in fact, sometimes I have a doubt whether it is really what happened because he wrote this book when he's in his 80s. He nearly died, but the book is so vividly described. And but anyway, we believe in him, and I think it makes sense and to use one actor to play all these different characters. And also I think that's the magic of, if it is a film, I will not do it like, I will not use just one actor. But because it is theater, I think theater, to me, one of the most enjoyable things in the theater is to see an actor who can really play different roles. And this transformation is what is the magic of theater. So that's why I think it is worthwhile to try. But to be frank, in the beginning, I had this intention, but I didn't know whether I can find such a person who is Caucasian and who can speak some Cantonese. At least I can, is trainable, and who has this talent and ability to play all different roles. But I must say I'm blessed and I'm lucky to find Mika. We didn't know each other before. I'm just looking for an actor with these conditions, and then the agent recommend him to me, and then I found, oh, he's really good, he's well trained, and then we collaborate on the show, and yes, that's the result you just see then. Thank you。仲有冇朋友有嘢想問？誒，前面有朋友。
So thank you. It's really impressive. I'm a teacher and I just took 2 students come here to enjoy the show.
Thank you.
I really appreciate because it's really terrific. And the question might be a little bit embarrassing, but that's what I really want to ask is, I'm really moved by that dialogue. You say Hong Kong is where we belong, and we see many foreigners here. They say we see Hong Kong as a home. We really moved, and before 2014, I really have that identification and the sense of belonging to Hong Kong. But after 2014, I just feel like I determined to leave this place. I really confused, and all of us just feel like Hong Kong have been changed a lot. So I wonder, do you all share the same feeling with us? So thank you.
Yeah, in fact, that's also, I think, whether or not it's related. So has Hong Kong changed in your mind after all these 30 years, Christine?
It has changed physically, it's like buildings, everything. But the people haven't changed that much, I think, and they still love Hong Kong like before. It's for me. Yeah. I think people.
In the show, the communists just burned the home. So do you afraid that one day they will burn our home?
No.
Thanks, sir.
This is drama. I mean, it happened. It's true, but no, I'm confident.
如果你問我，我會覺得即係每個咁講好似好遠咁添。but 即係我諗每個人心目中有一個香港嘅，你嗰個香港，而我諗真正嘅香港係要由每個人心目中個香港去組成。咁你想呢個香港係好定係壞，係你決定嘅。而呢個香港你係唔會離開嘅。咁所以我覺得 whatever, wherever you will not leave Hong Kong, that belongs to you. OK。好，仲有冇朋友有嘢講？或者有問題想問？喺嗰邊有朋友。Yes, thank you.
Good evening. I'm actually from Dover itself, so it's nice to be mentioned in the drama. So thank you so much for that. My question is, as a teacher again, like the man down there, can you give us an indication of the amount of time and preparation that goes into a production like this? Because from where I'm sitting, it would seem like a colossal amount of time.
Because it is a rerun show, we did it. The premiere was in 2016, 2 years ago, and at that time we use 1 month to, first of all, to think about the book and to pick up some good parts that we want that move us, and then try to play around with that. Try to play around with that part and to think about how to do it in a drama, how to physicalize it, how to visualize it in a drama. I think that took us 1 to 2 months, and then we have another month to really fix it, sort of fix the scenario, and then we have another month to refine the scenario. So I think it took us 3 to 4 months to make the premiere version. And then I must say this rerun version is different from the first version. We kept most of the core of the first version, but we did add new songs and we juggle around the scenes and rethink the whole structure. And it took us 1.5 months to rework the things. So yes, it took us, what you see now took us 4 months to 5 months, I think, yeah. 仲有冇朋友有嘢想問？我諗最後有2個問題啦，我哋喺後面有位朋友，中間 Amy。
I just want to ask why this book is attracted you so that you want to make it into a play. And I think the story is very funny, and but I find it's quite like how foreigner imagine Hong Kong like an exotic place. So and then a lot of exotic places, a lot of exotic things happen. So I just want to ask why you think that you want to make it into a play, and why you like represent this kind of Hong Kong to people. Thank you.
我諗well, first of all, I think as I said, the premiere version was sort of, I would say, the premiere version. I put it in sort of like a trilogy of about diaspora. I labeled it as the trilogy of diaspora. It's the final part of that trilogy, although the previous 2 parts are not related. The story are not related to this part, but thematically, it's all about the diasporic experience. And I think it's interesting to see. And the reason why I want to make such a series is because a few years ago, although the discussion is still going on, a few years ago we start to think about what is a Hong Kong, what is the identity of Hong Kong, what is a Hong Konger, or what is Hong Kongness. And then I think about my own experience. The moment when I feel myself to be the Hong Konger was the moment when I was studying in London, when I was far from Hong Kong. I think it is what one line of the lyric said. Well, after you go far away, you discover something near. So, and then I think, maybe it will be interesting to, and then of course, I think about this book, the Gweilo, and he is a Gweilo. His identity is a Gweilo. I think he is, nothing to be shy away from. And so, in his perspective, you can say it's exotic, but to me, it's also the 50s, the Hong Kong in the 50s, the Hong Kong in the early 60s is also exotic to me as a Hong Kong person who was born after 60s. So I think there's something, the core value hasn't changed. That is and that's also the reason I like this book is I think the book, yes, is somehow exotic, is somehow described in the eyes of a foreigner, but I think he has this kind of like joys. The writer tries to, I think the picture on the cover of the book tells a lot. He is, as a young boy, as a golden blonde, a blonde young boy, he's carrying the Chinese on his back. I think this kind of humbleness, this kind of, yes, that's what I like most in the book. He is not treating himself superior to the Chinese. And yes, it's exotic, but it's nothing I think it is only a matter of frankness. He's being honest to himself. Yeah, it's something that you can't pretend, he's a foreigner. And I think it may come to the next question for me to Christine. Do you find offensive being called Gweilo or Gweimui? Because when our show Gweilo premiere, we hesitate to use Gweilo as the title of the play because we are thinking, and in the premiere version, we did not have the Chinese character Gweilo for the title of the play because we got some advice from people saying that, well, your poster, if you have Gweilo, the Chinese character, as your title, your poster may be banned by the MTR. because you know now Hong Kong is so politically correct, and so we didn't use, and even this time we didn't use the exact literal translation of Gweilo. We used 金童子 golden boy to avoid this to avoid this thing. So what is your, how do you find being called 鬼妹?
鬼妹 is nice because I'm no longer a 鬼妹. So it's always nice. No, I mean, I don't mind, like I said, I mean, depends the way you say it, but it's true, you can see it, so I'm not Chinese, so I really don't mind because it could be a friendly way, so it's, if you treat me like a 鬼婆 or 鬼妹, like if I don't know anything about the culture, yes, I will be offended. But if it's, yes, I'm a 鬼婆, so it doesn't matter. It's just a name, I mean, it's just, so I don't mind.
好，係咪真係冇問題啦？有冇人想把握最後機會問一啲問題？中間咁即係最後一位朋友啦，係啦。
Hi, thanks a lot for the performance. I really like the book. It's one of the most favorite book recently I've read back a few months ago. One question for the director, one question for Christine. So the first question for the director is, I think it's a very different Hong Kong that we have been seeing. It's like, I share the same feeling that it's like reading history for us, like trying to relive the old Hong Kong, not even my dad has lived. How do you find that's different? And one thing I do want to comment on a difference for Martin Wu is he came to Hong Kong when he was 9. So he grew up with the culture, with the environment, with the values here, which might be different for if we are in our age or your age, moving to another country. That is quite different because we are grown up already and we have our own set of value and culture in mind already. And compared to what I imagine when you write the script or write the screen, write the play that you have trying to live the memory of Cousin Move. What do you find this is different from how we can imagine ourselves moving to another country, moving to another culture? That when he is a boy, probably he even thinks he's a Hong Kong, not English. So what do you find that different? And I guess my question to Christine is it even possible, let's say, for when you move to Hong Kong, or if we plan to move to a foreign country in the future, I guess that's actually something in mind for many Hong Kongers, a question in mind for many Hong Kongers. Can we truly be immersed to another country? Can we truly have the identity, at least in mind, that we are really in this country, a part of this country, when we move to another state which is so different from where you grew up from?
So you want to say that if you lived in a country, when do you feel at home actually? When do you feel really like, do I feel a local? Do I feel a Hong Konger? Or?
Yes, I guess it's more like not just being local as in your daily life, right? But sharing the culture, sharing the value. And I guess more bluntly, the question in mind is, let's say if I move to another country in the future, I guess for us, it's not possible to be seen truly, let's say if I hypothetically move from Germany or move to France, I can't be seen as a French, right?
Yes.
But whether my children, whether my next generation, they can really grow up as a French.
But I think people treat you like a local or whatever in Hong Kong or in France. Again, I think if you speak the language, if you participate in people's tradition, or and you belong to them, you understand their jokes, and you don't have translation, and you don't get offended because different culture, then people treat you like me, my friend, or people around me treat me like a local. They speak to me in Cantonese, and they act the way that they are, like they don't pretend to be a foreigner. They are Hong Kongers, and that's it. So same if you go to France, if people treat you like them, then you feel you belong to the country or the city or whatever the place you like. Is it, I think, is it the question?
Yeah, I guess why I asked that question is to actually follow up on that. But I guess many Hong Kongers do share these 4 or 20 years has changed so much. I don't want to be offending because I guess as a Hong Konger, we do have different feelings on how the city is, how our responsibility to the city is, how we want it to be. So to be extremely blunt, and sorry if I'm being too blunt on that question is, do you think as a French person that how should I phrase it? It's like all the political environment and all those responsibility and ownership of the city, do you share that feeling or what's your view on that?
About what? Environment? About what? What? The Gweilo here? To do what?
There's a beer called Gweilo. It's a brand.
Yeah, so what?
Time for beer. Thank you very much.
佢送過乜嘢？所以唔係好清楚，sorry。你想飲？
Yeah, put it in more context is like we are frustrated because all the political things going on. We have our own idea on how the future of Hong Kong should be. Do you feel yourself still having the distance to the culture, still having distance to the city in all the political environment going on? And why I ask this is, let's say if I want to leave Hong Kong, if I want to grow, I want my children to grow up in another country, whether they can truly become a part of the country, not just in daily lives, but also in the values and how they do think that they are being treated.
So they have to participate in wherever they live. You have to participate in the life. If you want to belong to a place, you have to follow the cultures. You have to participate in your city's council. You can participate in election, or I don't know, different ways of. Yeah, I think so.
我諗係啦。你頭先第一個問題，其實我諗都係相關嘅。對我嚟講，其實都係頭先嗰位朋友，我諗有啲嘢我諗等於佢阿 Martin Booth 佢寫咗本書，即係寫書係一個重新發現嘅過程咯。I think writing a book is a way to rediscover something, and I think to discover 即係好似佢寫本書，其實我頭先講，即係係咪真係咁發生咧？唔知。咁但係我諗個重要係佢發現一啲對佢嚟講係重要嘅好嘅嘢。咁我諗呢個過程係我哋每個人都要經歷，每個人都當你發現咗一啲好嘅嘢係值得珍重嘅嘢，就珍重佢咯。I think so. This is a process. Writing a book is a process to distill yourself and to find the germs in this, to find the germs in Hong Kong. I think then when you find the germ, cherish it and try to share it with people. I think that's the core value. And I think that's where we end. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Christine. Thank you.